Hello everyone, welcome back to my got some lipstick on. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. It is the Christmas season, y'all, and we are going to be discussing a very important topic about relationships. All that it has to do with when it comes to what you see in the thumbnail. Is this a dead technology? Mm, is this a dead technology? Are relationships a dead technology, or is this worth the stress and drama that is currently a big topic when it comes to the conversations that we have today? As we know that 71% of marriages, or I think it's like 80, will end in divorce, over 50%. And while the average marriage lasts a little bit longer here in Germany, there are reasons why I think that number is increasing. And we're going to be discussing that tonight on this channel. Welcome back to my channel, guys. My name is Nehana Helker, and I talk about social issues and social commentary as I see it on the trends. Okay. And so this is, of course, a conversation that I had started to have um when I made the video, does it make sense to get married? Um Is it really something that we should be looking into as men and women in today's day and age? Why or why not? How come our marriages worked in prior centuries and prior civilizations, and why they are not working as much as they used to? So, this is a social commentary, which means that I will be making my own observations and I will actually be giving my opinion as to why it is that we have that why it is that this is the situation. Now I've been following this very popular divorce lawyer on YouTube. He has a lot of very interesting insight to the conversation, and I'm going to share some of the things that he has said on my channel right now, and I'm also going to do a follow-up, Hannah, in the comment section on some of the interviews that I have been researching based on the things that he has done. Yes? Ah, my daughter wants to be part of the conversation. So, one of the things, what? A piece of paper. Okay, so I'm now currently on my, this is your last piece of paper because you do have coloring books. I am now on my second marriage, y'all. So if you guys have been following me, you know that I have been married once before, and that marriage had ended very quickly based on issues that I will not be discussing. Maybe I'll take. Actually, I have already discussed that. Yeah, I divulged the entirety on the YouTube channel, so please go look for that video. Maybe I'll link it in the description down below. So I have had my own experience with this topic personally. And I have to tell you that one of the things that I find extremely interesting about relationship dynamics in the 21st century is the amount of conflicting ideas that exist around love and marriage. One of the main issues that I see when it comes to conflict and conflict resolution is the level of hidden expectations in relationships that are not properly verbalized or verbalized very poorly because the both people who are in the situation are coming into the situation from a damaged place, i.e., normally a situation of a broken or single parent household. So I'm not going to say that all relationships that are of a two-parent household are the best example of marriage. What I will say is that your examples of marriage, whether deficient or supplementary they are, will really determine how it is you handle conflict in your marriage, because conflict is an essential part of dealing with humans in your day-to-day life, and our ability or our willingness to deal with said conflict will reflect on the quality on the quality of said relationships um, as they progress on. Now, the second thing, y'all, I'm just going to skim over this because this is a lot of content, and I'll probably be doing my 3-part series or 4-part series in more grave detail, depending on what it is my client, my audience says about this one. But the second thing that I have to say, is that the second? Am I at the second point? Yeah, so the second point that I want to talk about is the level of expectation and how we communicate expectations. Oh boy. Sorry about that. My battery was about to die. So, yeah, so how we communicate expectations are extremely important for the way that, well, actually, communicating expectations are an essential part as to communicating what it is that we need. I always talk strongly in favor of people checking in with themselves and understanding exactly what it is they're coming in with, what is their um, self-actualization or self level of self-awareness, because self-awareness will help you to understand what it is you expect in relationships, and being able to express those expectations clearly to your partner are essential in having a successful relationship. Most of the time you can still end up in a situation where you're with a person that is not actually giving you what it is you want. I recommend that if you're in such a situation, that you give yourself a timeline as to how long you will be putting up with this behavior before you move on. Easier said than done, right? Which leads me to my third point. And there are many several points. Like I said, I've been doing a lot of research on this, and it's a very nuanced conversation. But let me just get to point three, which is that a lot of the times we end up staying in bad situations too long. I'm talking one beating after another, one mistress after another, one child after another, thinking that our forgiveness and children, or whatever it is situation that we think um, is going to mend the relationship, is going to mend the relationship. It takes two people to be able to start brand new and start over and be committed to changing and developing the relationship. And a lot of the times, because life is happening, and I'm going to get to why marriage is, society's against marriage in this tie-in, is that a lot of the times life is happening and life is not actually giving you space unless you completely shut everything off and shut everything down just to dedicate to resolving a situation that is probably already at that point in critical condition. In other words, you realize that you are having an issue in your marriage, and you have tried to ignore this issue, and then it got to critical mass. It got to a critical mass situation where your relationship is now sort of on life support, touch and go, which means that any little situation, any toilet seat being left down, any snoring, any annoying comment will set you and your relationship over the cliff, and there will be no turning back or repair from there on. That's right. And then we realize, oh, we need to be trying to save this relationship. So you've basically been pushed off the cliff without a parachute, and now you're trying to figure out where the parachute is or how to save yourself. And I want to make sure that we understand going in to these relationships is that it's important to treat your relationship like a job. And the type of worker that you are will definitely determine the type of relationships that you have. So if you're a person that's up to that's okay with doing mediocre work and just doing the bare minimum, then you will and should expect bare minimum results. This may seem very obvious and very straightforward, but a lot of the times people come into a situation with very disingenuous, fake, or unrealistic expectations. They come in already with the end in mind, and that happens a lot more than we're willing to accept. We come into our relationships, which is my fourth point, thinking that it's going to end. So we come in already with our exit plan. And this is where I kind of disagree with a lot of gurus, relationship gurus, is that you should have your exit plan. I think that people have to start to come into relationships in good faith. I've said this before, and start to come into the relationship all in, trusting ultimately, loving all completely and um openly, making sure that we are putting our best foot forward and not leaving that working out of the relationship to somebody else, right? Or i.e. our partner. We have to make sure that we do the work, and we have to become exceptional people in relationships in order for the relationship to work exceptionally. And my final last point in this video, because I can go on and on, I'm going to have to actually review these points to make sure that I don't go over them again in the next video, is that there are just way too many outs. We now have a very, very, in my opinion, anti-marriage option when it comes to divorce where it's no contest divorce or no disagreement or something. You could just divorce somebody without having actually having had a reason. What the fuck is the point of getting married in the first place if you can't even give a reason as to why you just want the relationship to end? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you did this just to try it out. Now it's I don't feel like doing this anymore, so I'm just gonna move on. I feel like that's kind of what that feels like when people say no contest or no reason. I have no reason to get divorced outside of the fact that I just don't want to be married anymore. I think that says to me that people don't actually understand what the union of marriage is and came into it just like it was some kind of social experiment on or some kind of experience that they need to have. And now that they've had that experience, they can move on. Marriage is supposed to be a commitment between two people, something that you grow and work on as you grow and work on yourself. And the person that you marry is supposed to be interwoven in your life experience, for better or for worse, no matter who you end up being. And that should and that should be some sort of a commitment, not only to the person that you marry, but to yourself, that you will always be improving yourself as you improve your experience with said person. Wow, that was a bomb. That was definitely a bomb. And so that brings me to my final point, which is one of my more important points when I give marriage counseling, is that you have to understand that the person that you are marrying today is absolutely 100% most of the time, if you're doing it right and not superficial, not the person that you will end up 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. People change, and sometimes they change for the worst. You can't know if that person is going to become a good person or a bad person when you first meet them because you're in love. You tend to not want to look at some of the bad things or some of the more uncomfortable conversations when you enter into the relationship. But like I say all the time, do your due diligence, do your homework, because it is for your own benefit as well as the benefit of the other person that certain things are on the same page, while always leaving space for the fact that life happens and life can throw curveballs at you that bring out the worst or the best in you. I always encourage people to spend as much time with the person that they're considering spending the rest of their lives with in order for you to see what type of person they are in any particular situation given. And in this experience, you can actually see how this person is going to evolve in your life over time if you're really paying attention and not having the wool over your eyes because you've already married them in your head already and you just want to explain away every single red flag that is being thrown at you. I hope that this video has helped to shed some light on some of the marriage questions that we tend to have about, doing it anyway, since, we already know that so many marriages end in divorce, and yet we still rush off to that aisle to make sure to say that my relationship is going to be different. Now, in my next video, I will be discussing some of the details as to how it is you can make your relationship last. And I know a lot of people will be impressed with what I have to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. So stay tuned for the next time and make sure that you always make sure to always stay safe and stay free.